So, welcome everyone. So, I have been working on setting up the next classes for the Ascension Mechanic training for January. So, the people who are on Wednesday, they are the most advanced. They're going to go now because Ascension happened in three phases or three stages, I should say. There is the power increase, which we begin first with. Then there is the merger or the wisdom of the mighty I am presence. And then the third one is the cultivation of the virtue, is the expansion of the heart. It's the threefold flame of power, wisdom, and love, done in that order. So what I'm doing is that for January, for the people who are now on the second stage, so January 6th will be the first class that they will have, which will be the beginning of the cultivation of the virtue. I'll send all of that in an email. I just want to go and just present all of that to you because I'm still setting it up on the website. I've been working on this, creating the outline for that final class, channeling, connecting, and creating all of that stuff. Then I've been also the people who are now doing the first, which is the power increase on Tuesday night, we will have a class, second class begin for them also continuing on Tuesday on January 5th. And then I'm doing one more time because by the time all of this will be done, we will have in monadic and merger, ascended and spiritual rectitude. I want to have about 36 people so that we can create the vortex or beginning to demonstrate the vortex for the new earth to humanity. Okay. And as such, I am falling short as it stands right now. So what I'm doing is that on Monday, which is going to be January 4th, Monday night at 7, I will do the first class, which is the power increase class online. Of course, everything is going to be online. So Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday in succession, I will have classes. Actually, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'll have classes. And all of which is an effort to push forward so that by the time we're done, we're going to have this incredible ease and flow, not only for us, because as you know, for those of you who are taking the class with the monadic merger, or for example, the torsion field technology, there is an ability to manifest that is created by you connecting to these fields. And we can talk further about this in the class today. I just wanted to present that and tell you what I'm working on. Moreover, last night, as I was trying to fall asleep, I heard the Galactic Region Council in my head speaking to me, wanting me to get up, and I was exhausted, wanting me to get up to start channeling the yearly channeling when they predict what's going to happen for the next year. Okay. And I was too lazy, too tired. I didn't want to get up. So the entire morning they were in my head, they were talking, all these incredible ideas are going through, right? So finally this afternoon, it was beautiful here in New York today. So I went for a long walk on the waterfront. I came back and I started writing. I'm halfway through, okay? I started channeling, I'm halfway through. So by tomorrow, I should have it complete. By the time it's edited, I'm hoping by Wednesday, Thursday, I can send it out to everyone. This is their prediction for 2021. What's going to happen? And I want to remind you that they predicted the pandemic since 2015. All of their predictions, everything they have said has happened. So I'm just letting you know that this is coming and precipitating out and coming right now. And again, as I said, I typically admit of, hi there, I'm sorry I kept you waiting in the waiting room.
No problem, I'm here.
Okay.
Good evening, everybody.
They're all muted, they're waving their hands.
Okay, no problem.
Sorry about that. So the thing with with all of this is that I want you to remember that not only for the channeling that's coming up, but also I wanted to remind you that things are changing and shifting and precipitating at accelerated rate. And I wanted, and I don't usually, I let the guardian, the Galactic Region Council come to me because sometimes I go and try to ask them, but if they're not ready to speak, they're not going to say anything. A lot of time I go and request audience and they're like, we don't want to talk to you right now. You know, or sometimes I ask them about certain things and they're like, it's on a need to know basis. You don't need to know this right now. But last night it was clear. They were very talkative. As I was falling asleep, they were there telling me, you should get up and write this, you should get up and I was too lazy. I was just so tired. I'm like, I'm not getting up right now because I know when that starts, I get so excited in my head, I would not sleep the whole night. So I was like, I'd rather not do this right now because I'm tired. I'm going to go to sleep in the morning. I know the information is suspended because there's a direction in the torsion field they're in. I'll just have to connect with them in the morning, which I did, and more information were coming in. They explain a whole bunch of stuff. It's very hard to explain because it's multisensory, because when you're connecting with beings that are that elevated, you're not just hearing words. It's a complete knowing, and a lot of things that they are telling me, they're nuances that when you try to write them down into a script, a narrative, and you're trying to make sense of it, to try to explain it, it doesn't capture it. It's much more than the words. Although the words have a frequency and a vibration, a kind of a cadence and beat and rhythm to it. And it has a certain kind of frequency when you read it that you go into, but it's much more than that. And maybe at some point in the future, I'll do a class or a video, one of these classes, I'll talk about this in greater details. I probably will do that next week, but about the channeling in greater details. But for now, I just want to explain that they're giving me so much expansion, and so everything is so much bigger than it was when I started writing this afternoon. Because these ideas are coming in and they're filtering in, and I'm understanding pockets of things that were dark for me up till last night when they started communicating. Okay. I wanted to also remind you, to tell you, to share with you a dream that I had. Lucy, who passed away and transitioned and ascended through the process of the Bordeaux, came to my dreams. And it's going to help illuminate a lot of the things that we're doing right now, because I had a dream initially that I was in architectural office, and I have not worked in architectural office for 15 years now, more or less 15 years. And my boss was actually a woman. And I kept going to her wondering whether I qualified for the job or not, or whether my performance was okay, as if I was having a review of my performance. I kept worrying in my head that I was not up to par and I was not up to their level and their frequency. There were colleagues that were there, and I began to talk to the colleagues and kind of communicate to see where they were, whether I belong or did not belong in that office. At some point, I decided to go into the lobby of the building. We were on the 10th floor. I went down to the first floor. When I got to the first floor, I walked outside in the lobby, and then for whatever reason, I wanted to go back in. And as I got back in, I got through an elevator, and I realized the elevator only took me to the 6th floor. And I'm like, oh, this is the wrong floor. This is not where I belong. I went back to the lobby again. And when I'm back to the lobby again, I looked at the elevators. I realized there were multiple banks of elevators that went to various floors. And I look for the bank where it says 1 to 12. I went in that elevator bank, and as I'm walking in, Lucy was right behind me, like almost like stepping on me. She just pushed me in gently, and we went in. She said, "Hi, Pierre," the way she usually do. And then she had a bag in her hand, and she says, "I'm going to the office, and I'm gonna drop my lunch," as if she was working in the office. And then we rode up the elevator together, and I woke up. Now I'm gonna interpret the dream for you, because as I was in the dream, and then when I woke up, I realized what it was. We exist in 3D. When I dream that I'm traveling by train, or I'm driving a car, or I'm on a path, it's typical for me that I'm traveling in a parallel reality. It's horizontal. But if I'm climbing a mountain, if I'm flying, or if I'm in an elevator, I am going into a higher dimension. And as it stands, the dream that I had was that if you subtract 10, 3 out from 10 minus 3 give you 7. Where I was, that I felt I didn't belong, was the 7th dimension. And where Lucy is now so-called working with a lunch box is in the 7th dimension. So Lucy did not go to the 5D. By following the Bardot method that I'm teaching you now to do. Listen carefully to what I'm saying to you. By following that Bardot method, she transcended 5 dimension and went all the way to 7D. And funny enough, when I went to that, initially when I was in there, I felt I didn't belong. I kept feeling that I was not up to par. My work was substandard, or for whatever reason. But Lucy was putting her lunchbox in the refrigerator. She belonged. And I just want to say that I'm noticing this made a big difference. I had a smile on my face, and it made me realize that we are evolving and changing in a way that is much faster than what we think. I remember the Galactic Region Council saying that at the moment of the galactic equator crossing, all the portals and the dimensional gates will be open. And how far you travel will be determined by you and the effort that you put in. Now, to the merger that we've been doing so far, and this is what I taught Lucille to do, which was to keep repeating this additional thing that we're adding to the monadic merger, which is I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. And as we added, because the thing I'm doing right now as well, when I go to sleep at night, this is the mantra that I repeat in my head over and over again until I am completely asleep. If I wake up during the night to go to the bathroom, I go back to bed, I repeat the same thing over and over and over again. If I have a dream that's uncomfortable or whatever, and I have to tell you that multiple things happen. Not only am I in a better place in terms of my dream, but some of the attachments that were not visible to me begin to show up in my dreams. Some of the things that are still holding me prisoner or linked to the 3D reality begin to show up in my dream. And I'm re-experiencing things from my past that I had long forgotten, that are still trauma or still anchoring me and grounding me into fears and grounding me into me trying to control. They're showing up for me. And as they are showing up, I'm able to release them and let them go as I'm doing this process. But I want you to understand that the goal, the end goal, is not just 5D, it's actually 7D. Any question or any comments from anyone before I proceed a little bit further? We're good? So Lucy is in a beautiful place. That's all I can say. And I'm very pleased to see that. I was so happy that the next day I called her granddaughter Marisa and I told her about it. And she was very happy to hear that news. But for now, I just want to say that that was also a big revelation for me, that the deeper depth that we're going into right now with the monadic merger and the ascension mechanic that I'm trying to teach all of you is beyond 5D. It's way beyond it. In fact, it's two dimension above it. And now, when we are doing the monadic merger, we start first by saying, I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. That's in the direction that you're looking at. Let's say it's 12 o'clock. Then beyond that, you say, please share with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. Then you wait to allow this upload and this activation to occur. Then you move to the next piece, which is I release all attachments, fear, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. And I had shared with you quite at length, I think, in the last few classes, what that actually meant. Now, when you're in that space, what you're doing is that the release into the great emptiness is probably the most difficult thing that you can do. Because to the Tibetan, to the Dalai Lama, the way he describes this, he calls this the absence of existence and self-identity. You have to go to the ego death of releasing your 3D identity and leap into an unknown immensity and vastness, which is described in the Tibetan Book of the Dead as the emptiness. You have to leap into this. And then you have to accept the emerging identity that exists in that vast infinite space. Now, remember, we had said last time that the emptiness is really 96% of what exists in this universe. It's dark matter and dark energy combined. It's everywhere. And it is the cosmic womb from which it is the nothing or the cosmic womb from which everything is created. It is therefore extremely fertile, extremely fertile. Fertile to the point that there are times, for the most part, when I go into that space of emptiness, when I experience it, there is kind of like what's the word? A sense of a vast and immense space that I exist in. And I don't have a sense of and I'm kind of in awe of where I am, because it's so profound and it's so completely surround and it's beyond my body. It's so immense and so vast that I am in awe of what that is. And for the most part, I sit in that space sometime for a long time, not knowing, because at that point there was a suspension of time-space continuum. There are times you're sitting there, you think you're 10 minutes and it's like an hour and a half later or 2 hours later. And I sit in that space, and a lot of time, answers to question I didn't even ask begin to pop up and begin to be released in that space. So I typically have my diary next to me, my notepad, and if something comes up, I open my eyes, I write the information, I close the book because the space is still there, and I close my eyes and I go back right into it. The space is still, the environment is still containing me, and I can go right into it again. And so I can easily begin to jot down whatever information that's coming, and then give the, and go back to it, because a lot of time information comes very fast. They come very quickly, and you have to keep catching them quite quickly as well, because they disappear very quickly as well. A lot of it is complete knowing. It's not just words, because although a lot of time we say I hear, but it's not actually your voice, but it's a complete knowing of an idea, as if someone inserted it in your head. That's the best way I can describe it. It's a different cognitive ability. It's not like auditory, like you're hearing a voice, but rather the entire sentence, this is the way I channel as well, the entire sentence gets inserted in my head. That surrender into that space initially becomes the most complex, because you have to trust that, because you're releasing everything about you, your entire identity in the 3D, you're releasing everything, your attachments to everything, and you're letting yourself surrender and go into what is to you so far an unknown. Yet in this unknown, as per the merger that you were doing before, there is an incredible sense of benevolence, serenity, and emerging feelings and sensations that are still, what's the word? Benevolent and kind and nurturing and actually healing for you. So because of this, there is a sense, okay, I should proceed and go into that space. I should allow myself to surrender completely into it. And as you do this and you surrender and you let go, it becomes something completely different. It becomes something quite extraordinary, again, where you are in this space where you're in awe. But the awe and the as incredible as it can be is still not identification with this immensity. In other words, you are still in Bordeaux. You are still transitioning. Because till you can go into that space where you can say, I am accepting. I am not just me, Pierre Dubois, but I am now accepting myself as Pierre the monad, or Pierre the emptiness. And for that to happen, we are adding, and it's not a easy thing, because we have a lot of attachment. If you're as complex as I am, where you can be Bambi, Gandalf, and Cruella de Vil and all at once, and you can be many other things, you have to release quite a bit of identity in order for you to, there are multiple fragments. We're very complex beings. And there's a lot for you to release, to let go, to allow yourself to merge and identify with it. What I'm describing to you now is the Bardo. It's called in the Tibetan Book of the Dead, the Bardo of Samadhi, the Bardo of Ascension, okay? The Bardo of Enlightenment. So there's quite a bit that you have to surrender in order for you to you have to let go of, in order for you to be non-attached and allow that emerging vastness and emptiness to become your new identity. And it's gradual, it's done over time, and et cetera, and ultimately you're going to get to a point where you're going to release, you're going to accept it, and you're going to let go, and you're going to allow that emerging identity to be your new identity. But one of the things that's helping and that will continue to help is the awareness that we're adding 3 short sentences at the very end of each direction in the merger. So after you say, I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity, and you allow energetically for all of that to process and to happen for you in that direction, then you're adding at the very end, I am the emptiness. You should write this down. I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. And I am fixed, designed. Fixed as in what was broken and put back together again. And this, by repeating this over time, will help you now identify as the emptiness. Because till you can recognize and identify, as we learn from the Bardo of Death, when you experience the luminosity at first, if you don't recognize and identify as the light, you're going to keep going through the Bardo and reincarnate again. So seeing the light is not enough. Experiencing the vastness and knowing that you're standing in front of God is not enough. You have to go in and you have to identify as. You have to know that the light is you, or the vastness is you, that immense sense of awe, that the awe is actually you. It's your identity. So to be able to go in a space where you can actually do this, this last upload or download, whichever way you want to call it, came as a way to help us move in that direction. Okay? So I just wanted to share that with you. I just wanted to give you that piece of information so that you can now begin to move forward and look forward to that kind of experience. I will share that in meditation with you and show you what it feels like as we do it, okay, together. Now, any questions, any comments about this? All right, good enough. So now what I want to do, I want to talk, I'm shifting gear and I'm going to talk about something else. So if you have any question about this, you should ask it now because I don't want to keep jumping back and forth. Okay, fine. I want to talk for a moment about what's happening in the world right now as we're transitioning and we're moving, because the first part of what we just discussed, it's you and you personally transcending and going into samadhi, into ascension as a way for us to demonstrate the light to the world. But let's talk about the chaos for a moment and the destructive, or rather the deconstruction or dismantling of the existing paradigm that's happening right now. One of the things I want to talk about, a couple of things that came through the channeling that I've been doing today. The Galactic Region Council, we're trying to describe what is happening with the multiple parallel realities that are occupying the same space, and how this bifurcation and separation between two things, a path, let's say in the United States, that gives president-elects again, living president, and creating like kind of like a polarization between the two. The interesting thing that they said, as we know, that they are in a seesaw relationship, and neither is actually the new earth. The new earth is a third path. But more to the point, that they are the first two parallel realities that will show up. It doesn't mean that there are no others. It means that those are the first, most visible one right now. And that there are other realities that will, and by the way, the bifurcation is existing as parallel world, which is horizontal. The new earth exists in a higher dimension, therefore it is vertical. It exists in the higher reality. So for most of us out there, what's going to happen this year, going directly to the prediction, is that there's going to be an actual, particularly for those who are in the United States, there's going to be an actual elected president, and there's going to be a rogue president that in real time will try to contradict and battle every action that the elected president will do. And this will further inflame and create more chaos in terms of the country and the unification of the country. And it will create clashes, there will be violence, there will be riots, and there may be the beginning, not for probably toward the end of the year, but the beginning of civil unrest, as in civil war. And all of this ultimately will lead into secession of certain state. The country will begin to break apart in at least three major parts. You will have the coast and you have the middle portion. So this is where we're headed. And it will trigger in us all kinds of fears. It will trigger in us all kinds of panic. It will trigger in us all kind of, because some of these people who believe in, let's say, one or other side of the bifurcation are family members. They are friends. They are people you have history with. And it's going to get to a point where you won't be able to have a conversation with them. And to a point where your friendship will end and family will be ripped apart. People, connection to each other will simply stop. And the reason for this is that this is not an intellectual thing. What is really happening is that viscerally and emotionally, people are allowing the events that are happening around us that are agitating the metrics, because it's being dismantled, to trigger their survival instincts. And the 3D reality is grounded in only one thing: survival. So it will trigger their survival instinct and cause them to begin to emotionally resonate with people that have similar feelings and impression. Which means that if it's a friend or family member, no intellectual appeal, no emotional um, um, uh, uh, argument from your part will convince them otherwise. They've already made their choice, and you will not be able to dissuade them. Now, moreover, and this is where the danger is, a lot of people that I'm witnessing, light workers, spiritual people, etc., that are calling themselves and identifying themselves as light workers, or completely in the QAnon kind of like bandwagon and going in a different direction. And the reason for this is that who you think you are in your head and where you think you're going, 5D, ascended being, celestial, ascended master kind of realm, angels and all that, this is where you are in your head. But the fear that you have in your core that is being triggered by the event that are happening outside are completely different than your intellectual understanding of who you are. One is a mental projection. The other one is viscerally who you are in your core, as in your emotional body, in your energy body. And what this time is doing, it's that it's congregating together everybody that has similar emotional cores, matching vibration. It's matching everything together. So that around a central figure, which will become the avatar or the the figurehead, or they call it in the channeling the nexus point for this particular frequency, there will be one person or being as a figurehead, and everyone will gravitate around them, and that person will be in the center as an avatar, and everyone will worship that figurehead, like that figurehead was the new Christ. Sound familiar? And so this is where this is headed, and moreover, it will. You cannot intellectually try to, because I have had that issue myself. I shared that with you. That a lot of people that I used to recommend my client to them, practitioners, people who I had channel with on panels, people I can't recommend them right now because they're all going off the deep end. And I'm realizing this, that although they in their head they believe that they're on the side of the angels, they are going somewhere else. And it's not that I'm pro the other side of the seesaw. I am actually pro the third path. I'm not even for the other side of the seesaw. I'm focusing on the third path. But I can see that they've been radicalized. And that's the word to use. They've been radicalized. And it's so dramatic that nothing that I can say. It's like talking to somebody, a terrorist that's been radicalized. You can't, there's nothing you can say to them. They will die for the cause. And this is where this is heading, and this is why it's going to end up in violence. It's going to end up in chaos, in violence, and people are going to die because of this. And that's why I'm keeping my nose completely clean of this. This is why I'm staying out of this. This is why I have multiple times tried to see some friends making statement, and I try to respond online, and I delete the response, and I'm like, you're not getting caught into this. Because they've already made their choice. You cannot change them. And you have to bless them. And I'll be honest with you, to the people, I have some people that I'm still friends with that are completely going, on one side of that seesaw or the other. And I have to say to you that there are certain other people that that I didn't really know. I kind of know them peripherally because they're friends of friends on my mass media. I have unfriended them because I'm like, I don't need to see this venom and this poison. their post is becoming more and more violent and more filled with things that are completely conspiracy theory and things that are completely infactual, that are lies. And I can't stand for this when I thought I knew their character, and I'm completely shocked about how they have devolved into something else. So what am I leading to? That the greatest gift that you can do for yourself right now is to cultivate your emotional intelligence. Because it is the frequency of the new earth is truth, authenticity, and transparency. Let's focus on each of these things. Truth is relative. Because the truth of the galactic masters, if they were to tell me the truth that they know, I would probably pee on myself. And the truth that I know, when I see a client, for example, in session, their time, because we're all masters of self-deceit. And a lot of time, the client will hide from themselves information because they cannot handle the truth or the information that is coming to them. Okay? So there's a lesser version of the truth that they end up revealing to themselves. So truth is relative, and there is a certain level of discernment that you have to have, that even if you understand a higher truth, there are certain things you can't share because people are not prepared to understand it. I remember there was a scene in the Matrix, second Matrix, where Neo was talking to the Oracle, and the Oracle, Neo had a dream, and in the dream, Neo could not understand. There's a part he couldn't see beyond, and he asked the Oracle, why am I not understanding this? And then the Oracle responded by saying, no one can see a truth that they are not ready to understand. Not even I, as the Oracle. Although people will say I'm all-knowing, but I'm not all-knowing. There are certain things, unless I am prepared to understand that truth, I will not see it. I will block it out. So the truth is relative to the level that you are at. And I'm going to give you an example. The Galactic Region Council has been channeling this information. Every year there's an upgrade of what's going to happen. And I've been doing this since 2015. Yet people are surprised when, in fact, when I first published the first channeling in 2015, people ridiculed me. They said I was fear-mongering and that I was crazy. Yet here we are, particularly about the coronavirus. They didn't say the coronavirus, but they said pathogens that will cause a massive human die-off. It was part of the channeling. And everything that they have said has been showing up, including what will end up being the clash and the kind of battle and the chaos. They were saying this in 2015. So even though you may say the truth, people will gonna be they're gonna ridicule you and say that you're cuckoo because you're telling them information that they are not prepared to know. So truth is relative. Authenticity. Next piece of this. Authenticity is a beautiful thing. You're encouraged to not to lie to yourself and to be true to yourself, it is the most difficult thing to do, to be truly authentic, to be able to actually face yourself for who and you really are rather than who you think you are. Most people on earth live in a delusion. They create personas or masks so that they can deal with the outside world. Because we know deep in your core, deep inside of us, who we really are, the world is not ready to accept. And therefore, we create kind of a bridge between that fragile, breakable, and vulnerable part of us. We create a bridge between that and the outside world. And we create not just one, but multiple personas. And these personas help us deal with the world while we hide inside of us our true core, or true vulnerable, unbreakable, inextinguishable part of ourselves. To find the courage to expose that to the world is actually what we should be doing. I'm going to tell you why. Because as long as you're creating a mask to present to the world, that mask that you're creating is you trying to conform to outside peer pressure of who you think the world wants you to be. It's actually inauthentic to you being a unique manifestation of the divine. And that unique manifestation has to find the courage, which is the theme of evolution for our universe. You have to find the courage to expose to the world that authentic core. That fragile, that vulnerable part of you that makes you feel, I can't believe I'm going to say this to people. Oh my God. And if you're not terrified when you're doing this, it's not your authentic core. When you're about to express it and you feel absolutely terrified and you feel vulnerable, like, oh my God, I can't believe that's your authentic core. Now, I have seen also a corruption of this, which is a lot of people who are claiming that they're authentic and they're this and that or the other. And what they are doing in their so-called authenticity is that they are spewing out their anger and their rage. And they think that presentation to the world is them being authentic by saying F this and cursing and being vulgar and degrading themselves. That's not authentic. That's them expressing their rage. And part of it also is what I call emotional flashing. There are people who, and that's a passive aggressive way of controlling people. There are people who do this where they expose themselves emotionally as a way for them to make you responsible, to manipulate you and make you responsible. They show you a defect that they have as a way to bring you in and try to control you. It's a control mechanism. And you have to watch for these people who keep telling you all the time their problems, and they keep showing you their defect and how weak they are and how bad they feel and all that. And then what they really are doing is that they are being emotional flashers. They're exposing themselves deliberately to manipulate you, to draw you in, because you're the healer and you're going in trying, oh, let me take care of you. Let me show you how to do this. And then you're locked in and you find yourself arm deep in this stuff without knowing how to get out. The other thing that I want to mention, the third part of this, is the transparency. You cannot commingle your energy grid with anyone else without disclosure and without them giving you consent. This is the law of non-interference. This is true everywhere in the multiverse. You're not allowed to commingle your energy grid without having these things happening. You disclose, you wait for consent. When you get it, you move toward the sharing. That's you being transparent. You have to be upfront. All the fine lines before you get an agreement or something have to be presented, and everything has to be on the table. This is the way one sovereign being connects with another sovereign being. Anything short of that is a lie, it's a deceit. Therefore, we should be, in our relationship with others, do the same, or at least attempt to. We're human beings, we're not going to be perfect, but you try. And by the way, when you're in that state of being, when someone says to you, no, I'm not interested, I don't want what you're selling, or I don't want to, I have a lot of clients who are constantly, like, I'm going to give you an example. They're coming to me asking me to help them with X, Y, Z, and so on and so forth. And they need a clearing, or they need that or the other help to be done. And the next thing you know, they're saying, can we do an exchange where you do a healing on me and I do a healing on you? Okay, I didn't ask you for a healing. That's the first thing. Moreover, if you're coming to me because you're contaminated and you need a clearing, why would I want an exchange of healing from you? This doesn't make any sense. I don't want anything from you. If anything, do something physical for me. Help me clean my apartment. Do something else. Okay? I don't want any energetic exchange. Because if you're coming to me for me to try to repair something for you, it's because your energy grid is not correct. Why would I want that to now infiltrate into my energy grid? For me, if I propose something to someone, and as I propose it and I move in the direction of trying to give it to them or share it with them, and they say to me, no, I don't want it. Boy, the moment I hear no, I am halfway down the block in the other direction. Because no is a complete sentence. And I don't need you to qualify to me and tell me no, because I don't care. The moment you say no, everything is shut, I'm walking out. For you to be transparent, your yes has to be a yes, and your no has to be a no. Both of them have to be solid and certain. But if you have poor emotional boundaries, if in your emotional relationship, when somebody says yes to you, they can, or when you say no to somebody, they can wind you down, they can wear you down by keep asking over and over again. You have poor emotional boundary, your no is a maybe. And the same is true with your yes. Your words and your actions must match. When you say you're going to do something, it has to be done. And when you say, no, I'm not doing it, I have a plaque in my kitchen that says, and I've been saying this to my older student, they didn't know this for a long time. My no for me is a complete sentence. And I'm not going to qualify it. I'm going to tell you why. If I tell you no, walk away, because I'm not going to change my mind. And this is important for us, that as spiritual being, And as we move into ascended bodies, we should be that kind of being. Because all of the ascended masters in the ascended communities, this is the way they are. And this is why their power is so infallible. When they say they're going to do something, it's done. And if they are walking away, they say, no, you cannot, it's like a child. Can I? When you say no, and by the way, children know to test parents, and they do this very well. And typically in the family, there is one parent that's the enforcer, and there's another parent that's the one with the weaker boundaries. And the person that's the enforcer, when the person says, no, it's not being done, they know they have to quiet down because that parent is not going to move. Whereas the one they know they have already tested by whining all the time and the person eventually acquiesces, they will know, if we keep asking over and over again, please, 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 they eventually will collapse and give us what we need. So it's important for us to understand the depth through which we have to travel in order for us to exist in that frequency. Because that frequency is now currently moving around the planet right now. And it's going to get stronger and stronger and stronger as we get closer and closer, and we edge out over at the crest, at the top of the galactic thickness of the Milky Way galaxy. As we crest above it, we're going to cross the core of the light of the galactic equator more and more. As we get closer and closer, it's going to get more and more palpable. And if you don't have that as the basic foundation rules through which you exist, you will not be able to handle it. This is the frequency that's destroying and disclosing everything. This is the reason, and I've been saying this for almost 6 or 7 years to my clientele, that if you are not into, I remember a client 5 years ago who came to me because he was feeling guilty because he was cheating on his wife, and he asked me, so what should I do? What do you think? How do I handle the guilt? I looked at him, I said, you're going to be caught. Given what's going on right now around the planet, all these people who are hiding stuff, they're all getting caught. The truth will be revealed. So if you're existing, if there's a part of you that you're camouflaging, you're hiding, I said to him, it's better for you to control it by telling her what happened, rather than you not controlling the event and have yourself be caught and have all your marriage and everything else unravel. So choose the path. I never heard from you again, but choose the path that you want to follow, because you're going to get caught. Now, these things are important because they are the one that are precipitating, accelerating the change that we're seeing happening around the planet. And of course, parallel to this, or the fake truth, the conspiracy theories, and those are coming from the archon, or the beings who have been completely possessed or occupied by archons, who are spinning a false narrative and all gaslighting us by repeating this falsehood over and over again and making people believe that it is the truth. So for a period of time, the two things will kind of like, battle for dominance. And you're going to have this kind of like back and forth between the two. Now, if you try to exist in that frequency, you're going to have to make some adjustments, of course. When I say that you have to be truthful, I don't mean that you have to take, or you have to be authentic. I don't mean that you have to take a New York Times op-ed and begin to tell everybody about yourself. That's emotional flashing. What I'm saying is that you need to spend your time, maybe at first, finding what your core is, that vulnerable part of you. And by the way, authenticity always comes in when you go deep inside of you. It is that part of you that you don't want to share with anyone. Because you know, if anyone knows this, they will ridicule you, they will make you feel bad about yourself, and they will hurt you. Whatever that is, that's your authentic self. Now, I'm not telling you to go and stand in front of a crowd and tell them all of this and find the courage to do this. Rather, what I'm saying is that you should completely surrender into maybe sharing that authentic core with one person as a practice thing, one person that you can feel safe with or you feel love you. And if you can do this, maybe, and you become comfortable in that kind of sharing, maybe you can tell 2 or 3 more people. And as you get used, because that authentic core that you're afraid of expressing, that's your unique manifestation of God. This is what you came here to express. You have to go against the grain and against everybody trying to make you into a copy of everyone else by this enculturation of creating personas and therefore disenfranchising you from that part of you that is authentically your unique expression of the divine. It's initially terrifying. And you have to find a safe way or place to say it. And usually, for me, every time I used to kind of like tell people truly who I am, I used to have a reaction that used to terrify me, which is that I express something about myself, which is my core, and suddenly the whole crowd is muted. Everyone is staring at me. And in my head, I'm interpreting it. They're judging me. They think I'm crazy. They think I'm a freak. I'm Quasimodo again. It took me a while to figure out this was not the case. And it only happened 5 years ago when I was in LA at this mastermind that I was attending, where something similar like this happened. And after it must have been half a minute, but it felt like an eternity to me. One of the women there, Nicole, came in and she gave me a big hug. She said, "Thank you for sharing this." And the moment she did this, I started crying. I couldn't stop. I was crying because for the first time, it was a light bulb moment. I realized at that very moment that what was happening actually was that they were processing that vulnerability. When you express that part of you initially to anybody, they may stand in looking at you like this. It's not because they think that you're crazy or you're weird or you're deformed. More to the point, it's the fact that you are now reminding them that in their core exists an authentic part as well that they have yet to access. You're reminding them that they too have to go within that core and find it and talk and express it out. They have a divine, unique expression of God in them that they have yet to access. And this is why every time I did this before, it was always this like everybody looking at me like I'm a freak. and I felt completely rejected and completely like I'm Quasimodo. So what I'm saying is that you have the ability to move beyond that by realizing that initially the kind of stunned look where everybody's muted when you present, because initially when you present that authentic core, people are just like, they're muted. They can't respond. They don't know how to respond because all the persona response will not fit when you begin to express authentically who you are. And they will be quiet and they'll be muted. But if you can transcend it, you will move into a different place. If you can transcend the fear of rejection, you will realize that people were processing what you were saying. People were, you see their head spinning or their head moving, their eyes shifting. It's not they're judging you and looking at you weird. It's because they, in themselves, they are trying to process, why have I forgotten that part about myself? A lot of times I just say what I need to say and I remain quiet. I don't say anything anymore. And whatever awkward moment happen, I wait till somebody says something else. Because I know now what the process is. People are going to be muted. They're going to look weird. They're going to feel scared. Because the fear that happened to most of us is that you either start crying and get upset and you run away, or you start over talking, trying to justify what you just said. And you start blabbering, trying to justify what you just said. Blah, 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 and you're saying nonsense. Now you're being completely inauthentic. You're trying to fix it, to fix what appears to be you showing your vulnerability. Instead of doing this, just be yourself, say it. I'm going to give you an example. I went out to dinner with these friends that I went to graduate school with. And we used to do a Christmas dinner every year. Around this time of the year, we all got it together. We're in the same program. 8 of us, we sit at an expensive restaurant, we all sit down together, have a wonderful meal. And we catch up with each other, what happened to you, blah, blah. And one year I showed up and we're all sitting around the table and we're talking, catching up with each other, and everyone goes around the table. I got a new job, I'm making, $40,000 more. I did this, and everyone is telling, around the table. And they came, and I'm sitting there thinking to myself in my spiritual, awareness, do I lie or do I tell them the truth? And so as the conversation moved around the table, they came to me because everybody was volunteering. I said nothing. And finally, one of my friends that was sitting kind of diagonally from me said, "What about you, Pierre?" And I decided at that point, I'm just going to be truthful. And all I said is this sentence: I have found out what my purpose is, and I'm moving forward to manifest it. We were in a private room in a restaurant. You could have heard a pin drop. Everybody was in an awkward silence. Because what I said made all of their so-called achievement for the year look kind of silly. I didn't do it intentionally. I was being honest and being truthful. And then this woman, my friend, who asked me the questions and went like this, pulled back and said, "Wow, Pierre, Good for you. Good for you. And then somebody else broke the silence by saying, just pass the wine for me, please. And then the conversation changed and everybody started talking, blah, 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 and everything moved. I was never invited to that dinner again. And this is true again today. And it's okay. I don't mind this because I'm being true and authentic, and I don't mind if these things happen. But I want you to understand the way that frequency works, because they were pursuing certain things that were more external, that was not internal to their true authentic self. I didn't go into depth that I'm trying to ascend and I'm going to lead the plan. I didn't go into the full description that would have been, I said just exactly what I told you. I went into the me version, and even that was too much. The fact that my light blinds you is not my problem. I'm tired of making myself small. And even in this instant, I told them a version of the truth. Remember I said truth is relative? I told them a version of the truth that I thought they could handle, because I didn't go in the full description. So be aware of this when you're sharing of yourself and you're trying to be authentic and true. Be aware of this. Be aware of the fact that you might have to share a small version of yourself, and people may be stunned initially. Some people will accept it. And in the group that I was in Los Angeles, they all accepted it. And they all came and gave me a hug. They were like, thank you, man. You're so brave of you, blah, blah, blah. It was a completely different experience than that dinner. And because every time I do this in the past, I used to always say to myself, after it comes out, I'm like, Pierre, you've done it again. You're going to be ridiculed. People are going to, dim your light, make yourself smaller. You should not be dimming your light for other people. Express that light as unique, as bizarre, as freaky, as weird, as crazy as it may appear to be. Express it. Any questions, any comments? Well, good. All right, let's take a 5-minute break. And in the back end of this, because I want to do the longer version of the merger with all of you. For those of you who want to, not part of the Ascendance group right now, I want to give you the opportunity with the new added thing at the very end. Okay? 5 minutes. Take a very deep and slow breath. And as you inhale and exhale deeply and slowly, allow the universal life force that permeates everything to enter into your lungs. Keep breathing deeply and slowly. And let your soul and your awareness drop in the middle of your chest. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. I become aware of my monad and mighty I am presence. I ask for a complete and total merger with my 12 Christ over self body and the 144 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 12 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness. And endless luminosity. For I am the luminosity. I am the emptiness. I am fixed, designed. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 1 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you, and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. For I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. I am fixed, designed. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 10 o'clock, at 2 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I completely surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity. For I am the emptiness, I am the luminosity, I am fixed, designed. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 3 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I am completely surrendered to the great emptiness and endless luminosity that exists at 3 o'clock. For I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. I am fixed designed. I become aware of my Christed with a self body that exists at 4 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self. And with the 12 Christed aspects of me that composes. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity that exists at 4 o'clock. I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. I am fixed designed. I become aware of my Christed with a self body that exists at 5 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christ itself, and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity that exists at 5 o'clock. I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. I am fixed, designed. I become aware of my Christed with a self body that exists at 6 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity that exists at 6 o'clock. I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. I am fixed, designed. I become aware of my Christed with a self body that exists at 7 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity that exists at 7 o'clock. I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. I am fixed, designed. I become aware of my Christed with a self body that exists at 8 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity that exists at 8 o'clock. I am the emptiness. I am the light, I am the luminosity. I am fixed, designed. I become aware of my Christed with a self body that exists at 9 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity that exists at 9 o'clock. I become aware of my Christ. I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. I am fixed designed. I become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 10 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control, and I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity that exists at 10 o'clock. I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. I am fixed designed. I've become aware of my Christed over self body that exists at 11 o'clock. Please forgive me. I love you and I let go. I ask for a complete and total merger with my Christed self and with the 12 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. I ask that you share and merge with me the virtues, the wisdom, and the power that you know. I release all attachments, fears, and control. And I surrender to the great emptiness and endless luminosity that exists at 11 o'clock. I am the emptiness. I am the luminosity. I am fixed, designed. I become aware of my monad and mighty I am presence. I ask for a complete and total merger with my 12 Christed over self bodies and the 144 Christed aspects of me that compose this. I am that I am. In the vast continents I stand in spiritual rectitude and verticality, aligned to these truths. I am the indivisible emptiness and luminosity that exists everywhere. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Hosanna into the highest. Take a very deep and slow breath. And whenever you feel ready, you can open your eyes.
Thank you, Peter.
Oh, you're welcome, Janice.
Thank you, Peter.
You're welcome, Bobby. You're welcome. Mm. I know you're all in the afterglow of this, and I won't disturb this piece. So I'm going to end here, and I'll talk to you next week. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Good night, everyone. Thank you.
You're welcome.